This podcast is sponsored by Release Winery. Every wine tells a story. Each growing season, it's our goal to create an artisan Napa Valley wine of exceptional quality. Join us as the story of this ultra-limited wine continues. Learn more at releasewinery.com.
I came in 75, so my sister came in 73 and my brother in 77, but yeah, it was a different time here. I mean, we were one of two homes on all of Summit Lake Drive, and you know, what a magical place. It was wild. There were 8 acres of actually pre-Prohibition Zinfandel vines planted on the property. But what a wonderful place to grow up and a wonderful place to be. Well, originally he wanted to buy a piece of the valley floor, and even in 1971 he couldn't afford anything on the valley floor. So, you know, a real estate agent told him that he had this property up in ANGWIN, and even to this day most people don't know where ANGWIN is or haven't heard of the town. They've heard of Howell Mountain because of the appellation and the growing area. But his intention was to buy the property and then flip it and buy something on the valley floor. Little did he know that, you know, it would be a lifelong work in progress, and raising a family and starting a business and building a winery and you know, continue it with the kids. Yeah, you know, a mud driveway. I remember the parents, you know, going as fast as they could to get down the driveway so they didn't get stuck. So, you know, but you know, now I have 2 kids of my own, and I think about what a special childhood we had. You know, I quite often get the question of, you know, how special it is to grow up on a ranch like this and a winery. And as a child, it's a lot of work. You know, as soon as you can reach the pedals on a tractor, you're driving the tractor, and as soon as you can reach that cordon, you're out there suckering. And I just remember looking back down these rows and thinking, man, this row's going to take me an hour to do this whole row. And as a, you know, 11, 12-year-old kid, that's a long time. But now in hindsight, I mean, it's been a wonderful childhood, and we have, you know, a 3rd generation coming along now, and you know, we're just trying to plan for the future and keep this in the family and hand it down to next generation. So it's been great. Dad started making wine. His first vintage for Summit Lake was 1973. So there was pre-Prohibition Zinfandel vines on the property. He immediately planted in 1971 some Cabernet that we still farm to this day. And originally was making wine in the cellar underneath the house. So this is an old there's an old Mario Ferrazzi property, Italian, you know, that did a field blend essentially of the Zinfandel with Mourvedre and Carignan. So, you know, unfortunately we had to tear that out in '96. So Dad made wine at Freemark Abbey from 1971, or actually worked as a cellar master at Freemark Abbey. He was not the winemaker there, but essentially learned the trade. And then made wine here until the mid-2000s. And that's when I came in and had been working at other wineries and cut my teeth elsewhere, but came to work for the family. You know, I think to his own admission, you know, he's getting a little bit older, and maybe his palate wasn't as good as it used to be. I keep up with new technologies, and I had been out in other wineries and you know, continuing my education in enology, and decided to come back and work with the family. You know, escape is when I left for college, honestly. I don't think escape's really the right word, just glad to leave. You know, it's a small town. Growing up in a small town can be good and bad. No regrets, but still, it was great to go to away to school. Went to Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo. Actually studied agricultural engineering, knowing that I wanted to do something in agriculture, not knowing that I was going to get back into the wine business. Really enjoyed myself down at school. Actually played rugby down there, and I like to admit that I had a rugby problem. So when I graduated college, I played on the Central Coast. I went down to New Zealand and I played down there. Played Division I back here in the States, And during that time, I met my wife-to-be, and she, as a good woman, said, "Are you sure you're going to be a rugby player for the rest of your life? So you better focus on what you're going to do with your career." So went back to school, did continuing education in enology, brushed up on my chemistry. The local junior college here actually has a lot of very valuable courses. Did some master's work at the University of Bordeaux. And then came back and I worked with a gentleman by the name of John Gibson. I was his assistant winemaker for 4 years, and then went on to Paradox, and I was their assistant winemaker for 4 years, and then kind of broke through that glass ceiling for the winemaking title, if you will, and went over to Letson and in Sonoma and worked there for 4 years, and then figured it was about time to come home and work for the family. Well, this business is connections, and my wife and I's brand is Red Thread, and that is based on connections. We firmly believe that what brings people together in this wine business and is that enjoyment of a glass of wine and the conversation that you have, whether it be at a dinner table or to what we're doing today. Sure. And that's special to us, and that's kind of where our brand Red Thread emulated from. Red thread is actually an old Chinese proverb. Basically, two people that are destined to meet are connected by this proverbial red thread, transcends time and space. And maybe my wife and I were connected by that red thread, but we just like to extrapolate on that, and we use that for our brand, and it seems to be doing pretty darn well. So.